of Christmas. How are you spending your Christmas vacation? I'm here with my good friend Jennifer Donati. Jennifer, welcome. We are at Storybook Cottage. Jennifer and her husband Eli have come to Texas, so you have family here.
We have family here. My husband has 2 daughters here, and they're 3 kids each.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, you're coming to Texas. Will you come see me? Now, I know a lot of you know who Jennifer is. Jennifer, you were our baby Rose on the television show Little House on the Prairie. And of course, this is my Laura Ingalls page, so everybody knows that this is the 50th anniversary. That's an ornament done by Casabella Creations, our friends Tricia and Hector. They also make the replicas of the little house, but it's really kind of crazy. We just met a little over a year ago when you came to Corsicana, and it was, when I met you, I instantly liked you. You know, it was just that you're so down to earth and you're so personable, and your heart, you care about people and you want to know about their stories.
I do.
And that comes across. When you meet Jennifer, she's so warm, and I was just like, oh, I really like her. And then we were together in the craziness that was Simi Valley.
Yes.
The big festival there, and then the show went on the road, and your book came out like days before the Simi Valley Festival.
Yeah, they arrived just before the event.
Crazy.
Days.
And you sold out during...
I did.
It was...
I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it.
So if you, and I know the words are back, so I'm going to read it. It's called More Than Just a Prairie. And several of the cast members have written books about their time with Little House on the Prairie. It was a little bit of a different story with you. You and your sister shared the role. How old were you?
We started at 7 weeks old.
7 weeks.
We met Michael at 5 weeks old.
Oh my gracious.
So brand new. But we had to play a brand new baby, so he needed a fresh one.
Yeah. And so you have talked many times, I think, on your own social media account, as well as you cover in the books how you and your sister got the role. So
yes.
You have to read the book. But the title, More Than Just a Prairie, I think that's really a perfect title. And did you choose that title because you wanted to showcase that it was going to be more about what has happened since?
Yes, because there's no hiding. Like, we were babies. We were on the show for about a year and a half, but we were still not very aware by the time it was over. So the little house, though it's a big thing that happened in my life, it's not, it really is a small part of my story. So I feel like More Than Just the Prairie is appropriate because it started with the little house and then it went...
Yeah, so, you know, of course, I have an entire room which houses my Little House library, and that, of course, is original books by Laura Ingalls Wilder, as well as the books that have been written by William Anderson, Annette Whipple, Michelle Underwood, just really specialists in their field who have taken Laura on different avenues. And, you know, even though I had met you, we had spent some time together, it was probably May or June before I finally had some time in my schedule that I could read the book. And I started reading the book. First of all, I couldn't put it down. Jennifer has a way of writing that is almost addicting, in that in the last page of the chapter, you're like, cliffhanger, hello, you can't just leave me.
Right.
You can't leave me. So then I'd have to read a new chapter. So I think I read the book, you know, over a course of 3 days, because your story about Beyond the Prairie just so captured me. And, you know, in life, as with all of us, even though you are attached to a very iconic television show, you have had your share of trials and adversity, and you were very honest and open. And for me, reading your story, get your tissues ready, guys, because it's raw. It's raw.
I wanted to be honest as much as I could, without thinking about how people were going to react to reading it. And now I almost feel bad, because it is a sad story, but it wasn't written to make people sad.
Well, but also too, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't classify it as a sad story, because you have triumphed over adversity. You have triumphed over a trial. And in coming full circle, when we think about Little House on the Prairie, it was 60 minutes of there normally was going to be something or someone that they had to triumph over something. And at the end of your book, you did get a happy ending. One of your happy endings is watching us film this episode. Eli, your handsome husband, is here in the room with us. And, you know, so for me, the next time that we met, I think was maybe in Kansas, and I had read the book by then, and I shared with you, I even got teary of like, you know, Jennifer, I liked you before, but now I kind of love you and want to keep you forever. You know, just, we had both, were members of a club that nobody wants to belong to. And you kind of saw a need for that, and you've created a Facebook group. Can you talk to us about that?
It's called the Fellowship of Motherless Daughters, and it is a club that we never think that we're going to join. It never crosses our mind, or it does, and tortures us until the day it comes. But I feel like there was a need there for fellowship, for a safe place for women who are not being pushed to get over it, pushed to move on, forget about it, put it in a box and put it away, because we can do that for small parts of our life. We can go to work every day, you know, and if we can get to that point, because not even everybody can do that. And my mom passed away almost 9 years ago.
Wow.
So even I'm not to a point where I'm free from the grief, or it doesn't sneak up on me. So I wanted there to be a place for women to share their story, to not have people get tired of hearing about their mom. Me and my sisters, we still can't get through a conversation without remember mom, remember this, or there's always, everything reminds us of our mom.
Well, it's your foundation.
Right.
And you and I were talking earlier this morning. I think it's kind of typical in our society that we have the memorial service and you're inundated with what I like to call cards and casseroles.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're still in shock during that initial period. And I have kind of started, when somebody close to me loses somebody, I mark on the date when they left, when that person is passed on. And then 6 weeks ahead, I jump to my calendar. That's when I send the card, is 6 weeks later. Because it's after that shock that then the grief kind of settles in.
Because everybody goes away
and you're left alone, and that's kind of when you're dealing with your emotions. And I have in my backyard people that I've known that mean a lot to other people. I try to plant a perennial flower or bush in their memory. You know, lots of different roses, and plants have names that are attached to them. So for instance, in my backyard, I have a type of hosta. It just depends on which region you're in, but it's a green plant that comes back year after year, and it is the Paul variety. And so I planted that in honor of my father, and his name was Paul. And then I have friends who have lost their mother, and maybe their favorite color was purple, so I plant a purple flower. And so these people that are close to me, when the flower comes back up, I always take a picture and I say, I'm thinking of your mom. Or I'm thinking,
so sweet.
you know, or like a rose that I planted for my grandmother, then I send it to my cousin. Look what bloomed today. And you know, because for me, and this is why I sort of tied in the Christmas tree, is, you know, my parents have, of course, been gone for over 50 years now. But even at Christmas, I think because there's so many traditions and so many really heartfelt memories that are tied to the holidays can be challenging. You know, my mom loved the Carpenters, if you remember that group from the 70s. And so they they came out with a Christmas album. And, you know, Karen Carpenter, if I hear her on the radio, usually the first time I hear it in the season, because of course my mom was also named Karen. And so it doesn't matter that it's 50 years later.
There's no time.
No. So that I love that you have basically created a safe space that I can go on to this Facebook group, and we're going to make this Instagram Live and Facebook Live permanent. And I'm going to link to Jennifer's Facebook page down in the comments. So it's free to join the group. And you basically just need to be respectful and kind and treat each other with compassion. Your basic rules that you want for the group. But I love that you have created this community where you could type a post that said, oh, I heard this song and it reminded me of my mom. And then Carol from Alabama might pop up and say, oh my gosh, my dad or my aunt, or they loved that.
In this loss, it can be very isolating. You feel like the only one in the world that feels this way, and in this group you realize that you're not alone, and that there are many women out there who experience the same thing as you. All of our stories are a little bit different, but there's a common thread through all of them.
Yeah.
And we're not alone, and we're not unusual because we haven't completely gotten over it. But we don't talk as a society. We don't talk about it enough.
And, you know, Jennifer also goes into greater detail of how you got through that time and some of the tools that have worked for you. Now, one of the things that I love is you're so warm and approachable. We were talking about that for groups maybe who are looking for a speaker to talk about loss and grieving, that might be an avenue that you are interested in taking.
I would love to speak on it.
Yeah, so the book you can find on Jennifer's website, and it is also available on Amazon. In the comments, I will link to Jennifer's website. You want to go to your website anyways. Jennifer creates some beautiful jewelry. What else? You had some seasonal offerings, some
we did have some
ornaments,
stuff.
and
bookmarks and jewelry,
yes,
sun catchers.
There's all sorts of nice things because, you know, in terms of a person who is grieving, sometimes it's nice just to receive a gift in the mail 2 months later when the bouquet of flowers has long since passed. And so you create Job's Tears jewelry. And that actually ties in to Little House.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there was one episode. I don't know that they ever mentioned it again.
I don't recall, but yes.
It was a big deal for her.
It was. Do you want to talk about that episode and how the jewelry ties in?
Yeah, so I can't remember the season, but the name of the episode was I Remember.
Yes.
And it was the anniversary episode for Charles and Caroline. And he was out of town doing something like he does, and his wagon broke. So they were at the house getting ready for dinner, and he just never came, and they were waiting and waiting, and finally Laura's like, "Is this the first time Pa's ever made you wait?" And she's like, "Let me tell you a story." And one of the very first gifts that Charles ever gave to her was a Job's Tears necklace. I won't spoil the whole episode, but she kept it all those years later and went to her, while she's telling Laura this story, she went to her chest and pulled it out, and she had kept it all those years.
It's a very precious episode, so sweet, as the episodes often were. There's always hidden layers and meaning, but I love that you've taken that aspect, and it's something so sweet, and the message is so pure, so to give a gift to somebody who is grieving, I just love that everything in your shop is such a sweet remembrance and an outpouring of love. You really put your heart and soul to the contents of what is, and when this is, you're handcrafting this yourself.
Yes.
It is handcrafted by you.
Yes.
So I think that makes it all the more special. But we just wanted to come on here, and that's why I thought, for those of you that have been following me in celebration of the 50th anniversary, this was the tree that I done, and it has all of my, this is the Little House on the Prairie specific ornament. You know, I showed you guys all of this in an earlier video, so you can go over to YouTube, and I'll link to that, and it is on Instagram too. But it's got my covered wagons, and of course, our dear friend Wendy Lou Lee. She makes some wonderful ornaments, but you have ornaments too, and we just wanted to talk about, you know, this is still the holiday season, and it's okay to not be okay. And that Jennifer has created a community that if you need that love and support, and if you are a group that is looking for a speaker, the best way to reach you, so on Instagram, are they able to message you?
I believe so. I believe
okay.
you can.
And then you are on Facebook, so we'll put those links. So if you are interested in a speaker, that is something that you would like to pursue.
Absolutely.
And hopefully you'll be at another Little House event coming in the near future.
I hope so. We haven't had any announcements just yet.
No announcements yet, because I would get bombarded, so I'm glad you said it's coming.
It is coming. They're meeting, they're planning, they're organizing, so it's coming.
Yeah. So now you know that in the course of 1 year, I met Jennifer, and now Jennifer's in my home. She's been in the guest room. I put on the rose sheets. I don't know if you noticed.
I did not notice, but
I didn't point it out. But she did laugh when she came in, and I popped her picture in, and I'm like, I did say, you know, that's just a joke. I don't have you all the time.
Some people do.
Some people do. Some people do. You know, a lot of the fans, they love the littles, the babies. Yes, but now you know why I love Jennifer Donati. And if you are not following her on Instagram or Facebook, I will put all of those links down below in the comment section. And thank you for this beautiful book. Thank you for creating a wonderful community. And thank you for creating such heartfelt gifts that you share on your website.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
We love her. We're keeping her forever. And you guys have a wonderful day.
Do you ever do any giveaways, Laura?
Yes, I do.
Why don't you leave a couple of books here for her, and she can get those away.
I have some books with me.
Okay, let's do it.